right, I think we're live now. Sorry for the little delay there. Welcome again to another live broadcast. It's been a week, y'all. It's been a week, but I'm glad we're here, and I'm so glad that you're here too with me. And I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Just been a very long week. I'll just say that. But today we're here together. And we're going to talk about some things. We're gonna look at this one particular topic here. Then we're going to also get into the news. What's the topic we're going to be talking about in this broadcast? We're going to talk about do we really understand what being a Black American, what that really means? And I want to emphasize not the Black part, but the American part. Because when we talk about Black culture, I think there's some things, well, it's not just I know, there are some things that are missing. People are assuming a whole lot. And so in this discussion, we're just going to bring it down to earth so that you really understand. And I think it will also help you to understand why certain things continue the way they are. You understand? And that's what we're gonna attempt to do tonight, to bring a little bit more clarity on it. So I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna find this discussion to be a bit interesting. So we're gonna talk about that, and then of course we'll touch on some of the news of the week as well in the middle of all of that. So if this is your first time checking us out, welcome. This is what we do on our live broadcast. We just kind of take the news and we just kind of really put our thinking caps on, use our brain, and not just repeating stuff, but also try to figure out what are some solutions to this stuff, and try to do it in real time. And then, of course, always open the floor up for you to participate and to provide your solutions as well in the comment section, in the chat, and all of that. And so, yeah, that's what we do here. So we're kind of a different format, not just hitting it, and just going there, and so you could just scroll away. We take our time here. So if you're not that kind of person, you feel like you're taking too long, even right now, this is not the platform for you. But most importantly, we want to stand on truth and the facts. And that's what we're about here. The truth and the facts, nothing more, nothing less, for sure. So anyway, we're going to give people about, I would say, a minute, and then we're going to jump right in, you guys. Yeah, I'll see. I'll go with that one.
Yeah. This one's for every queen who thought a crown was too heavy to wear. But baby, that crown was built for light.
You twist, you turn, you tuck, you side. Mirror talking, why can't it just lie? But I see galaxies in every curl. A sacred pattern, baby, that built the world. They said too coarse, I said too divine. High quality always takes time. Girl, your roots run deep as history. That's more than beauty, that's ancestry. You may think your hair's a curse, but I see it as a blessing. You've been stressing with that pressing, but your essence, baby, that's the lesson. Let your crown glow, let it breathe, let it show. Crowns aren't meant to be covered, no. I don't care what the others think, we just wanna see you happy. I'm happy, cause that's how I know it's true. Learn to love your crown, baby, I'll show you how. That's for, see, the sun hits right on them coils so tight. Each strand's a story, bold and light. You say it's hard for fingers to slide through, baby, that's two of us, me and you. Let's leave China and India out this talk. We walk in roots that angels walk. No synthetic love could ever compete with the rhythm that your curls beat. You say it's hard to manage, but art always takes some damage. damage, still you shine through all that pain. Girl, that's power in your mane. Let your crown glow, let it show, let it show. Crowns aren't meant to be covered, no. I don't care what the others think, we just wanna see you happy, 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 cause that's how I know it's true. Learn to love your crown.
All right. Welcome to another live broadcast. Today is August. We have made it to August, you guys, ladies and gentlemen. It is August the 2nd, 2026. Oh my goodness. I thought we were just in July a minute ago. It's been a lot going on, on this end, and I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I will say that's I wanted to do this broadcast because I know over the next couple of weeks, it's probably going to be even more difficult for me to do any broadcast because of, again, just different things that are going on. And one day we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. It's all good stuff. It's just stuff, you know what I mean? It's life. So, but anyway, it's all, ultimately, it's all good stuff. So, but anyway, so today's broadcast, as I said, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate that. And you're more than welcome to, to add comments in the chat and in the comment section. Just keep it respectful. That's all we ask. I mean, come on, we're adults here, right? It's okay to disagree. You don't have to agree with me on everything, but let's just be respectful. Okay, that's all we ask. And so anyway, so today we're going to talk about two things. Well, we're going to talk about I'm going to start off with the main thing, which we just talked about, what I just mentioned earlier, and that is this whole thing about culture, American culture. We're going to talk about that. What does that really mean? And then we're going to touch on the news. But I want to remind you again, this broadcast has been brought to you by Samba Tree. That's right. Samba Tree is our way of contributing to the solutions to a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about out here. We believe here on this platform that one of the solutions is to place natural and herbal solutions where it needs to be when it comes to our overall care. You understand? And so, we have been trained in this system to rely on, the medical profession, just in its entirety, the pharmaceutical industry and all that. We're going to touch on that a little bit later with this whole COVID stuff and everything that's coming out now. We've been taught and trained to depend on that instead of relying on our own resources and even reaching back to what our ancestors used to do. We have a digital book that we just released that talks specifically about natural dental care, going back into our history and giving you real examples and things that you can use today to help bring your dental care up to where it needs to be. And you could check all of that out and then some over at sambatree.com. We got our own coffee line. We have our own, natural supplement line. We got powders. We got oils. We got all kinds of stuff. Make sure, again, you check us out, sambatree.com. All right, let's get into it, shall we? So, again, big shout out to everybody that's here. Really appreciate you guys. Okay, so let's talk about this whole thing of culture just in general. All right, just in general, we're talking about culture. We're not going to touch Black culture yet. I just want to talk about culture first. But in order for us to do that, we got to step back even further to this example that I would like to give to you. Okay, so Honda, we have a Honda, right? And, I have been dabbling a little bit more in doing some of the, maintenance, some repair work, some maintenance and stuff. I've been doing that on my own and it's been quite interesting, because I've never, thanks to my dad and just the little things he did, under the hood, I am not intimidated by what's under the hood. Not really. Not really. Some things it's like, okay, what is it? I don't know. It's like a spaghetti farm when I lift the thing up, right? But not really. Just enough exposure in my childhood to know, okay, I could do this, right? And so when you lift up the hood, we're just going to talk about Honda, but this applies to any other vehicle, right? You can even apply it to motorcycles. Honda has its own part system, right? These are parts that Honda makes. And these parts are designed to do a very specific thing for this specific car, right? So, if it's a Honda Accord, let's stick with an Accord, for example, every part that is under that hood is designed to optimize everything that they say and have determined what a Honda Accord should be. Okay? Nothing more, nothing less. It's that. Okay? Those parts are all working in sync to be what we call today a Honda Accord. Okay? You with me, right? All right. So Honda makes all those parts. Well, not exactly. Because Honda will also say, you know what? It's best for us to reach out to some of these other companies because some of these other companies actually do a much better job at making some of these specific parts. So if you look under the hood and you see, so everything's not going to be stamped Honda. Some of it will be stamped the name of other companies, right? But those other companies have to work in sync with the vision of Honda, right? It can't go beyond that. So if Honda says, okay, here are the specifications of the Honda Accord, it has so you're going to make this part, but make sure it fits this specification. And so that company will call a company X will say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And they do it, right? So it's all fitting in the specification of what Honda has predetermined for the Honda Accord. That company, what we're calling Company X, cannot come in and say, hey, listen, now we've been doing this for umpteen years, and nobody's going to tell us at all what to do. So if Company X, for example, let's say makes radiators, right? They can't come in and say, well, listen, we're the experts on this. We're the creators of this, and we're going to make it. We want to make sure that when someone opens up the hood of their car, the first thing they see is that radiator. And so we're going to make our radiator a little bit bigger to make sure that everybody sees that radiator, right? Well, Honda is going to say, okay, we get what you're coming from, and we understand that you're proud of your product. In fact, we're very impressed by it. But that product is not going to fit in our product. It's not going to fit in our car. Because if if you're going to make it any bigger than the specifications of this Honda Accord, it's going to mess everything else up in what we're trying to do. So no, it has to be downgraded and made to fit our vision. Okay? Because otherwise it's not going to fit in. Now, I gave that very long scenario there for a reason. Because now that will help us into better understanding culture. And what I'm going to say, it can apply to any culture within America, but we're specifically going to be discussing in this particular discussion, Black culture, all right? So again, remember what I said, it can be applied to any other culture within American culture. Now, notice what I just said, American culture. America, in comparison to the example I just gave, is Honda. America has given the blueprint on what they want this country to be. They done started that a long time ago, right? They even brought in their brand of religion, which we call Christianity, all right? Christianity existed before America, but my point is that you have an Americanized version of it, right? And in this Americanized version of Christianity, we're taught that Jesus definitely is, the captain of this ship. We're taught that Jesus, in God we trust. We're taught that, that Jesus and his Father, God, will approve of any and all wars that we embark on. If we decide to invade a particular country, well, that's co-signed by our religion, this American religion, which is Christianity. All right. And so, you got people out there that may say, well, that's not real Christianity. You're getting the point. My point is that there's an American version of it that's fitting this, and this version of it fits the blueprint of America. Okay. And so you got Christians out here that will co-sign on a number of things that are in complete alignment with American values, right? Whatever that is. And as we know, American values can be anything. But that's just religion, right? Then we got other things, diet, the different types of foods that we have. America has its own standards that are ever changing and ever evolving when it comes to foods. United States in of itself is one big laboratory for different types of foods that we eat. All of these food manufacturers out here, they are constantly experimenting on us in our foods. All the different things that they're putting in there. And versus when you look at certain countries, for example, they have standards that they abide by, and they said, no, we're not adding this. We're not going to add that. We're not going to add this. We're going to keep things 100% natural. Well, America has its own standard. In an American standard, it's no. The people should have the experience in experimenting or taking part of the experiment with our food supply. We want to try this. We want to try that. We want to add this chemical. We want to add that chemical, so forth and so on. Again, this is the standard. This is the American standard. All right. That's food. We talked about religion, right? There's a number of other things. Sports. We could talk about that, right? Relationships, right? Numbers of things. How we, videos and all of that. Allow me to pivot for just a second on this topic. This is part of a documentary. It is called The Jews of Hollywood, I think it's called. Hold on. It's called Hollywoodism, How Jews Invented Hollywood. And it's free here on YouTube, and I would highly recommend for you to check it out. It's a very informative video. And I can't recommend it enough. And I would really encourage you, if you haven't watched it, we have talked about this documentary for years. Let me get to the cue it up here. 2502, 2501. That's good enough. We'll do that. Okay. So I want you to pay close attention to what these individuals are saying here, okay? So let me get the video up here on the screen, and I want you to take a listen to what they're saying here. It's very important. It's very critical in what they're saying here. There we go. All right, let's take a listen, get the volume up here, and let's go.
Notion that Hollywood movies were made by artists. The director and the writer and to a certain extent the stars actually made these movies. Those were the real artists, and these guys were only businessmen. I would place the artistic sensibility not with the director, but with the studio head. And for those who say, well, this is ridiculous, I would say from beginning to end, the executive had the primary input into the picture and supervised every aspect of production, over and above the fact that beyond any individual picture, it was the executive who created the entire studio apparatus. Every producer who worked there, every director who worked there, every writer who worked there, and every star who worked there was part of the larger system that was created by the Hollywood Jews.
I'm not sure that there was an,
Listen.
quote, American dream before the Jews came to Hollywood and invented it. What you had was a westward movement, and you had the idea of freedom, but you didn't have what we have today, which is a popular culture that creates dreams. That's a dream factory.
Did you hear what she just said here? I'm kind of scrolling here. Hold on for a second. Did you hear what she just said there? She said, I'm not sure there was an American dream before we got here, talking about the Jews. Now, if you think for one moment, let me stop you for a second, that this whole conversation that we have is going to be rooted in calling out the Jews, then think again. It's the conversation that we're having is going to be much larger than that. Okay, so don't go there. All right, let me skip here. I think this is the other part I was looking for this. I want you to take a listen to this part.
Happy endings and homespun truths. This was a world of clapboard houses with broad verandas and white picket fences, gleaming streets and shops with friendly picture windows. Hollywood's America was made up of citizens who were industrious, religious, wholesome and decent. And although they were of different classes and ethnicities, they were knitted together by a larger, almost spiritual sense of family. The moguls created the images, the icons, and the visual forms that we identify with the American way of life.
They created their own America, an America which is not the real America. It's their own version of the real America. But ultimately, this shadow America becomes so popular and so widely disseminated that its images and its values come to devour the real America. And so the grand irony of all of Hollywood is that Americans come to define themselves by the shadow America that was created by Eastern European Jewish immigrants who weren't admitted to the precincts of the real America.
So translation, again, what we call America and American values and the American dream and all of that, they are spelling out where that actually comes from. They're literally spelling that out. See, what they did, and we're talking the Jews for a minute here, is that because the reason why Hollywood is very important in this, it's very important, very, very important as we're getting into talking about black culture, because so much of black culture looks to Hollywood, even in 2026, for identification. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Disney, you know, there's several shows that they have canceled or put on pause that just happen to feature black leading actors and actresses, right? And people are upset about that. And, you know, there's always been this long conversation about representation in Hollywood and the racism in Hollywood and how they falsely represent us. So Black America largely looks to Hollywood for representation. And I would say even above politics, Hollywood is even more important than politics when it comes to Black Americans, because it's entertainment. Now, let me say something to you that I think it may startle you, some of you, a little bit, but it's the truth nonetheless. And that is this, is that Black American culture, like I said, this can be applied to other cultures as well. But in this conversation, we're talking about Black American culture. Black American culture is nothing more than a genre, kind of like a genre of music. You know, you got R&B, jazz, hip hop, whatever, classical, country, fusion, whatever. That is what, when we talk about culture, more specifically, when we're talking about Black American culture, it's a genre. It's nothing more than a genre. How do I arrive at that? I mean, think about just in this last month, just how quickly things have gone from you're debating one thing to another, and then you're arguing something else, and you just move from one thing to another, to another, to another. Just recently, the great debate was bonnets and do-rags. What culture do you know is going to spend serious amount of time, and I'm talking PhDs were involved in this conversation. Some of the quote-unquote best and brightest were heavily, deeply involved in this conversation about do-rags and bonnets. Then we got this stuff with the ongoing thing about the Nolan Wells, that whole situation, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And there was this person on X. It was this person on X. I think you guys can still hear me. I don't know what happened to my camera. I'll get it up in a moment. But it was this person on X that literally had a, a whiteboard that was out. He broke out a whiteboard. I'm not playing with you. And was going in, and I'm trying to get my camera back up here. Hold on for a second. It will come up, and come on now. Come on, don't act up now. All right, hold on for just a sec. Let's turn it off. And let's turn it back on. Uh-oh. Give me just a moment. Hold on. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. We're back. All right. Anyway, what was I saying? I was talking about how this individual literally had a whiteboard and was going through all these different things about the Nolan Wells case and was breaking things down and all of this other stuff. And you saw on the post that I posted today on our community page, I listed about 3 cases out of many cases out here of unsolved crimes within the black community that involve black folks, right? And how the black communities where these unsolved crimes took place, they're not even helping to solve them at all. We're not hearing anything from the parents. We're not seeing any elaborate press conferences from Crump. We're not seeing any of that stuff. And, you know, you saw the video that I posted, what was it, the last broadcast I did, or the last video I posted here, where you got people who are that's using psychics to say, Nolan, can you hear me? And this one guy had a machine, and he was like, yes, I can hear you. I'm not making any of this up. You got to check out the video. Then you had the other lady, her eyes turning white, and she's acting like the spirit of Nolan's coming into him. I'm talking just all kinds of stuff. And there's many, many more things I could show you just how much of the crazy has come into town. That in of itself is an entertainment to watch. And then you got the other things as well. The big discussion about who really invented hip hop. Was it black Americans, or was it the Caribbeans, or was it the Africans? So when you step back as a mature adult and you look at these things that are taking place here, this is what you do in a genre. Is whatever's popular at the moment, that's what you do. That's not legacy building conversation. That's just talk that you have on the street corner somewhere. Then you go home and go to sleep and do what you do at home. But none of that, what I just gave to you, isn't legacy building. When I talk about, let's get back to the Nolan thing, since that's the big topic right now. Let's scroll back a little bit so you understand how normal cultures, how they used to react, how they used to operate, I should say. Back before before we had social media, before we had TV and, I would say to a lesser extent radio, most of the conversations and discussions that dealt with whatever, when we say news, the news was what was going on around the corner. It was what was going on down the street. It was what was going on in the family, right? That was the news. I didn't wake up one morning and just say, did you hear about that boy in Mississippi? I think I'm gonna really focus on what happened, what teenage boys are going through in Mississippi right now. Or I'm gonna focus on some kid in Washington State. People didn't wake up thinking about other people in faraway places, right? That wasn't really normal. That wasn't the priority. Most of our news was centered on what was going on in our immediate space, right? That was the news. That was normal for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That was the news. That was just normal behavior. Then comes social media. Then comes the media, where now we have the ability to beam the business of other cultures from all over the world to your living room and now to your cell phone, to the palm of your hand. So now you and everybody business all over the world. That is not normal. And because of that, out of that comes all kinds of medical issues and stuff like that, they're still doing studies on and they're seeing it. So that's why you have a lot of people who are crazy on social media, because you're literally ODing on information that you really don't need to be privy to. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's what you're seeing happening in, let's say, in the Nolan case, and in any other case as well. Am I saying don't be concerned about it? No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is there is a such thing as too much information. And when you have things that are happening in your own backyard and you're not concerned about that as much as, okay, we're going to center on this particular story here, that should tell you something, that you are being programmed to follow a specific script that overrides what's going on in your own life. You understand what I'm saying? It's not normal for people to wake up and to be all entangled with stories coming out of whatever state. That's not normal. But there's something that has put this in your mind, that this is a top priority that we all got to be focused on, and because we got to get to the truth. We got to get to the bottom of this. Who told you that? Why do you have to get to the bottom of what? I want you to think about it for a second. Did I say that the story isn't important? No. Am I insinuating that the story is important? No, none of that at all. But what I'm saying is, just slow down for a second and ask yourself, who or what put into your mind that this particular story is the one that supersedes all the other stories that are happening right in your own backyard that you don't give two damns about? Who or what told you that? It's the American system. The American system told you that. It told you that this is the story, or these are the stories that you need to be concerned about, because it fulfills our agenda for black folks. And what's that agenda? Oh, racism is never going away. There's always going to be racism. There's always going to be the ghost of Jim Crow. Jim Crow is coming. Can you hear him? Oh, I hear the horses coming. The horses of Jim Crow. Here they come. Oh, they're getting louder. Here it comes now. I think I see him. Too late. Oh, we'll never leave it. Oh, is it Mississippi too? Oh, Lord, you know what happens in Mississippi. Oh, the racism. Oh, God. Oh, it happened in Mississippi. You know, Mississippi is the most racist state in the world. And you remember back during the civil rights era, these programmers, like what that Jewish man was saying, you know, he's talking about Hollywood. Just like as Hollywood has directors and producers, you also have directors and producers, and I would say controllers, if you will, within culture. All right? And we've talked about this a long time ago. There's institutions that are out there. Their job is to manufacture things that are being discussed in the culture for particular reasons. Let me give you an example. You know, like there's a movie that's about to drop. What was it called? It's the Blood and Bone thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But it's based off of a book. And I saw the trailer for it. And I was like, okay, this is Woman King. This is like a remix of Woman King with a splash of Black Panther. I mean, that's kind of what it is. I didn't see Woman King, and I'm not going to see it. You know, because it's I have no issue. See, one thing about me, I absolutely love history. History is like my favorite topic, specifically Black American history and African history. I absolutely love that. But let's go back to the example that I gave earlier. We're dealing with American culture, right? And so what America is going to say, remember the Honda example I gave? They're going to make sure that any discussion or talk that you have, whatever it is that you're going to bring to the table, it's got to fit the agenda of America. You understand what I'm saying, right? So when I saw the trailer of this movie and all that, and I say, okay, here's the second time that we have a movie. Now, Africa, if you want to understand, Africa is a basket filled from the top of the continent to the bottom of the continent and every point in between and on each side. It's filled with wonderful, very interesting stories. Many of them. I mean, and unfortunately, we would know a lot more of them if the white man didn't come and destroy half of them, or most of them, right? But nonetheless, Africa is very rich when it comes to stories. Very rich. But for America has determined that the only stories that we're interested in for the vehicle that we're creating are stories where you have the woman tribe who they're powerful, you know, in this case, they're mystical and all of that, right? But they have to go against the brute beast of the male-dominated tribes and have to convince them, you know, just how powerful they are and all that stuff. So there's this clash between the black woman and the black man that's being played out. Now, if anyone that has spent any real serious time in studying even basic African culture or African cultures, whereas many of them, yes, or African history, yes, there were tribes that were woman dominated. That's absolutely true. Did they have to deal with the whole male thing? Yeah, to a measure, you know, you have cases of that. But overwhelmingly, throughout the continent of Africa, that was not hardly the main underlying theme throughout the continent of Africa. But for Hollywood or America's purpose, they want to drive home this mindset that when it comes to the portrayal of Black history, and when I say Black history, I'm also including Africa in that for what I'm saying to you right now, we're going to portray it in this fashion, where you got the woman against the black man. Well, what do we see being played out on social media right now? The black woman against the black man. This is American culture. And if you're going to fit, if you're going to call yourself a Black American, you're going to have to fit the parameters of America. Let me show you another example of something that just came up that was really quite interesting. Let me get this up here. This was here. This just happened last month, in June. Let me pull this up on the screen. And of course, this happens in Philadelphia. Anyway, Atunci offers hope to formerly incarcerated women and gender expansive people. After 24 convictions and more than 20 years in and out of prison, it was a sense of home that helped Sapphire Fulton, founder and executive director, of Womanix Beyond Borders, to finally heal. Now she's launching Atunci Restore Philly, a new West Philadelphia housing initiative she hopes will help women and gender expansive people to do the same as they move forward from their own lives after incarceration. At Womanix Beyond Borders, we believe every person deserves the opportunity, support, and dignity to rebuild their lives free from the systemic barriers that too often stand in the way. Fulton said about the organization's new recent reentry home, which had a ribbon cutting on June the 17th. She described it as a safe house, a concept she feels is especially important for LGBTQ plus people who may find it even more difficult to find affirming and comfortable housing during reentry. Now, I don't know if it stuck out to you just yet, but Atunci is a Yoruba word that means repair, correction, renewal, restoration, or making something right again. Now, let me ask you something here. Why would you use an African word for this particular program to boost up sexual preference? And let me just add a little bit more to kind of help you out. I did a search. I said, well, does the city of Philadelphia have a program for straight Black men who are coming out of prison? And the answer was no, it doesn't. They said, in fact, it would be illegal to do so because that would be based off of sexual preference. Well, didn't we just read that the city of Philadelphia clearly doesn't have a problem with that when it comes to LGBTQX people? Doesn't have a problem with that. But do you have something specific for straight Black men? That was my question. And the answer was no. It can't do it because it will be illegal to do it. But in the meantime, let's create a program and we're going to slap a little bit of African on there. And we're going to present this as a part of the African or Black experience. See, if you're going to fit in the Honda Accord, you're going to have to make sure that you match the requirements of the blueprint. If you're going to call yourself a Black American, you're going to have to make sure that you fit within the parameters of the blueprint. Well, let me bring something else up to you that I know that is probably going to disturb many of you. Now, if you've been following this platform, you know that I have been very clear many times over on my position when it comes to reparations. In short, I believe reparations itself, the argument is a very sound argument, and I tend to agree with it. Okay? That cuts the chase on that. Do I believe it's going to happen in the way that it's being demanded? No, it's not going to happen. because if it was meant to happen, it would have already happened. What Black Americans are asking for or demanding is for cash payments. And yes, we don't have to go through, well, the Jews, they receive cash money, and the Japanese, they receive cash payouts, and the such and such group, they receive cash payouts. So we gotta get cash payouts too. Okay, but what I'm telling you is, if you are going to fit within the American construct, then the American construct is not handing out cash to black folks. How many more centuries is it going to take for you to understand that? Because they would have been done it if that was the case. But it doesn't fit the construct. It doesn't fit the agenda of the construct. It doesn't fit it. They're not going to hand out cash to black folks. And I told you, if they were to do that, it would be in a digitized form where it could be even more controlled. So now you're sitting on, let's say, $1 million of Bitcoin, and you're like, I got my Bitcoin. And you try to swipe your card and try to use that Bitcoin. Now they can say, you're trying to buy a house? You trying to buy property? Well, we set some parameters up on how you can spend that money. And when you can spend that money, and who you can send it to. This is where the whole digital money thing comes in, right? And how that's the ultimate control. So if they were to do that kind of stuff, if they were to hand out any kind of reparations money, that's how it will come. Be it digital, so that they can control you even more, and you're still locked in. So when we talk about, anybody, if you're a Black American, when we look at Black American culture, is Black American culture something that can be repaired? No, it's not designed to be repaired, because it's already fixed. It's fixed to operate exactly how it's been operating. And that is to have you always on this never-ending cycle. Think about it. When was the last time I think it was the National Urban League. They just dropped some report, and they said that, Black Americans are at the worst point in history, and we're like years behind, and we still got a ways to go, even though we have made some achievements, but we still got a ways to go. Aren't you tired of hearing that same scenario over and over again? That you, as the Black American community, has got a long ways to go. Aren't you tired of hearing that? Aren't you tired of the "we shall overcome someday"? Are you tired of hearing that? Well, one day we gonna get up there. One day or someday we're gonna get up there. Is that the legacy that you have as a Black person to pass down to your children? Is that you're going to keep telling them that over and over again until you die, and they put that in your obituary, and then now your children read it, they're reading the same thing. One day we're going to get up there, and then you die, and then you passing that down. Aren't you tired of the BS? Aren't you tired of that? Well, that's the narrative that they want to pass down to you. To Black folks, is to have you mentally in this mindset that you always have to fight against somebody, that you got to be comical, that you always got to be in dance and the twerking and all that stuff. That's why those kind of things get promoted. When we talk about these different movies and shows and stuff like that, you want to know why some of these things get promoted and just whatever. It's because that is how Black American culture is designed to function and operate. It's designed to be dysfunctional. It's designed to be never really succeeding or excelling and all of that. Think about it. All this talk that Black Americans have been doing as far as that the American system has to come down and all that. You can say that all you want, but the American system's still been going pretty strong since day one. You can claim that you build it all you want. It doesn't matter. You don't control it. And that's what I tell people all the time. You can get on social media, beat your chest and say, we built America and America wouldn't be here. Okay, you can make all those claims all you want. That's fine. Okay. But do you control it? Well, no, but we built it. Okay, fine. All right. That ain't no threat. That's like me sitting back and say, we built those cars. Okay, but are those your cars? Well, no, I can't even afford a car. Okay, then why are you telling me? Okay, that's good. Here's your cookie. You can keep moving. No, this can't. It's getting darker and darker in here. All right, let me see. Let's see. I could fix this. Hold on for just a second here. This thing getting so dark. Hold on. Let's see if I can fix this situation a little bit more. All right, let's see if that'll work. I don't know if that'll work or not. Let's see. It's not the best, but here it is. Anyway, I'll just kind of figure it out. It's a setting on my camera too. I have to do that, but I'll do that later. But anyway, so if you don't mind it, I don't mind it. I love my dark skin anyway, so I don't care. Anyway, but there we go, you guys. So when we talk about the Black American culture, it's doing exactly what it's designed to do at the end of the day. It is. And it is not designed to be fixed. I know we can have all these consortiums and different things. We could talk about how, well, what we need to do is this and what we need to do is that or whatever. No, it's designed to have broken families. It's designed to have the teen takeovers. It's designed for the extremely high murder rates. It's designed to push music that is degenerate. It's designed to present black women as trash. It's designed to to present our black men as stupid, dumb, and ignorant, and to promote them. That is the system and how it's designed. Now let's talk about you, and then we'll get to the news. Does that speak for you as an individual? No, because you as an individual, you have a choice, don't you? You do. See, the system doesn't want you to think about that, but you do have a choice in the matter on a personal level. You want culture, you build your own. That's how you build a sustaining culture, and that is by building your own culture. And where does that begin? It begins at home. That's where it begins. And who are the members of that culture? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that every member of your family. You have to be very discerning with that, because you're going to have people within your family who do not belong in your culture. In fact, you're going to have people in your family that are self-destructive to your culture. And so those people, you have to grow a pair and tell them to get the hell out of my face. You don't belong in my culture. My culture, I prioritize peace. I prioritize quiet. I prioritize studying and investigating on my own before I open my mouth and before I get on social media. That's my culture. In my culture, I invest in love for the people that are around me. In other words, not necessarily, we're not just talking money, obviously. We're talking investing in understanding our people, and then vice versa. You understand what I'm saying? And not having this, community-wide thing where I just love everybody that looks like me. You are a whole fool to think that way. You are. Because how many examples do we need to see where people have adopted that, and the same people that you say that I'm just going to love them regardless are the same people that turn around and stab you in the back? So it's not a color thing, really. It isn't. It's about the climate that you want to set for you, starting with you. And then you build from there. That's the culture that it has to be a self-made thing, not an American thing. Because America hasn't and will never give two damns about you. It won't. America prioritizes America, period. So think about everything I just said the next time you address yourself or call yourself a Black American. Because every time you're saying that, you are acknowledging that, yeah, you may have some differences or whatever, but you still fall under the American blueprint. And the American blueprint has already preordained or pre-designed where Black folks need to be. And that is not in the driver's seat. I hope you got something out of that. There's a lot more we can add to that conversation. And there's certainly a lot more you can add to that conversation as well. So the floor is yours. You can put, add to the comment section or whatever, and we can get that. So let's take a quick break. And then when we come back here, what we'll do is we will get to some of the news, okay? We'll touch on some of the news. All right. Give me about a minute, okay? And to get things set up here.
She melts in the sun, sweet on my tongue. Every step she takes, a rhythm begun. She's cocoa, she's velvet, she's all I need. A sugar rush walking, a living dream.
About another 30 seconds. All right, we got our light back.
Smooth like caramel streams. She's the spark, she's the cream in my dreams. Chocolate girl, oh, you rock my world. Sweet like a kiss, yeah. Let your love unfurl. Chocolate girl, yeah, yeah. My heart's a swirl. Can't get enough of my chocolate girl. She's got a smile like a candy shop glow. Every word she speaks, it's a sugar flow. Her eyes, they shine like a cocoa night. She's the flavor I crave, she's my delight. She's the taste I can't ignore. One bite leaves me wanting more. Bittersweet and oh, so divine. Chocolate girl, oh yeah. Chocolate girl.
All right. Let's get on back up in here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. You see, we got it a little bit brighter up in here. Yeah, it was a setting on my camera, and yeah, it is what it is. So appreciate your patience with that, because I was getting darker. And Nicole be looking at the video later on. She's like, I gotta wipe your face. I gotta get something, because that. And then when it gets darker, it just brings it out even more. So But anyway. So glad to have you guys here. Really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of that first segment of our broadcast. Let's get on and let's move on to the next thing here. Let's get to the. Where am I here? Where is it here? It's not that one. Oh, that's what I was like. Why is this not showing up? Okay, now I know why. I was on the wrong browser. Oh, there you go. Anyway, let's move on. All right, let me get that up here. And now I'm on the right browser. Here we go. All right, here we go. There we go. All right, let's take a trip over to our community page here, right here on YouTube. And I try to, when I don't have time to, do a full video on stuff, I try to, contribute to this here. I'm trying to see if this is okay. All right, this is the one here. All right, let's go back here. All right, so real quick here. Again, Samba Tree. Again, we have a promo going on right now. Salts are a huge customer fave on SambaTree.com. Grab your salts, bulk salts, and our black on black combo now on BOGO, 50% off. Buy one, get 50% off. And, when you read about the importance of salt in your diet, salt isn't necessarily something to run away from. It is something that our body desperately needs, okay? And natural salts are the way to go, not the stripped down, pure white salts that you see, where it's stripped of its nutrients and minerals and stuff like that. You need natural earth salts. And so that's what we have here. You can check that out over on SambaTree.com. Here's a couple of other things that, one, I did a post on. The other, I've been wanting to do a video on this, but man, talk about curveballs. But anyway, so this article came up recently. Higher consumption of sweeteners linked to decline in memory. And this was in The Hill. This is consuming popular sugar substitutes may be linked to faster decline in memory and thinking skills, according to new research. A study published by the American Academy of Neurology found an association between sweetener consumption and cognitive decline. Low and no calorie sweeteners are often seen as a healthy alternative to sugar. However, our findings suggest certain sweeteners may have negative effects on the brain health over time. We've said that, didn't we say that? Researchers analyzed data from nearly 13,000 adults and examined 7 sweeteners: aspartame, saccharin, I can't pronounce the other ones. You can see them right there: xylitol, sorbitol, and tagadose. All of which contain a few or no calories. And we talked about this right here because I went to bring it home here. Of course, you had the Kool-Aid thing that was going on here. One National Institutes of Health study found that black participants consumed more added sugar per calorie than white participants, even though their total calorie intake and total sugar intake weren't significantly different. In the same study, black participants also rated sweet taste as more intense. An earlier study suggests that African American participants maintain a desire for sweet taste for longer during repeated tasting than European American participants. That finding has been proposed as one possible contributor among many to dietary differences. And then it goes on, right? And then I pointed to a video that I did some years ago, Shocking Truth: Liquor, White Women, and the Black Man. If you haven't watched that video, I would highly encourage you. That is a must watch. If you're going to follow this platform, you need to watch that video. Because what we did is we talked about the history of liquor in this country and the marketing towards black men, and how when it came to black men, they made sure that they added a lot of sugar to it. And we talked about what that's all tied to and all of that. And then you'll hear about where the white women come in and all of that. And how that is all connected. And no, it's not a reach. I'm reading out of their own books, and they're explaining this. That's what we do. I'm not going to sit up here and be like, yeah, because that sounds like, if you really think about it. I don't do that. No, I'm going to read word for word, bar for bar from their history books so that we got it documented. So if there's any question, you can go back to their books. And that's exactly what we did in that video. So make sure you watch that. But yeah, so diet is also part of American culture, like we just talked about, right? So black Americans have been groomed in this country to like very sweet things and salty things. Did I not say? It's always say, well, white people do too. We know that. We get it, right? That's American culture. But specifically, we're talking about black folks in this conversation, right? Remember, I said that at the beginning of the broadcast. We're not excluding other races and saying they're perfect and we need to aspire to be like them. That's not me, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about what's in this household, right? And so, Black Americans, I've shown you historically have been groomed to like sweet things, sweets, right? Sugar, and also salt too, right? And but that's not really, when you look at Black history, there's a difference there. Black history, it wasn't like that. Black history will show you that Black folks have a long history of liking natural foods that are well balanced in flavor and seasoning. That's Black history. Black American culture is something different, right? So anyway, what are we talking about that? Oh, let me see if I can bring this up here. There is a trend that I meant to talk about this in, shoot, do I not have? I meant to talk about this in a previous broadcast, but I finally remembered. I said I cannot forget. Let me turn that down for that X up. Oh, of course, I'm not logged in. Oh no, I wouldn't be logged in here. Hold on for a second. Hold on. That's why I want to. Again, on the wrong thing here. Hold on. Let's see. All right, let's see if I'm logged in. Come on, man. Stay logged in. Okay, we're good. All right, good. All right, so let me go to profile. I'm pulling it up. And I haven't been on TikTok in a moment here. Let's see. Anyway, while I'm looking this up, there is a trend where you have people who are eating cornstarch. That's what I want to talk about. Now, this has been going on for a minute. This isn't really something new. Oh, here it is. I was on the wrong thing here. When you look back at the history as to why, you'll find that in early Black American history, again, when food was tight, cornstarch was one of those things that particularly Black women would eat. And there's also, what is it? Not just cornstarch, but it was also not insulation. It's a building material. It's not coming to me right now, but you have Black folks that used to eat that. It might have been the paint chips. It was something like that. Let's just put that to the side. If someone can know what I'm talking about, you can look that up. But cornstarch for sure. Another thing that, and this comes out of Africa, but you see this in like places like South Georgia, way out in the country, mud pies, where they literally will take mud and a certain amount of clay in it, and they make it into pies, and literally you have people who will consume them. And it's the clay that's in there. Again, people used to do that because you had some people who were deficient in some minerals and stuff in their diet. So, Black folks did what they had to do. You still see some of this, like I said, in places like in way South Georgia. You'll see this in the Caribbean, in some places. Some of y'all who are Caribbean background, you may have heard of this. It's not a widespread thing, but historically, it's definitely a part of our story. Anyway, but cornstarch is another one of those things that particularly Black women used to consume. And now it's making a comeback. And so here's a few TikToks that I came across, to show you, yeah, they are very serious about this. Let me see. Pull this up here. There we go. You got several people now that are out here doing this thing now. There you go. I was like, where's the volume? All right, here we go. Still no volume. Oh, there it is.
In there, y'all. She done got the and got the. I need to make these things to go home.
So all of that's cornstarch.
My Wawa ice. My cousin got came and got what supposed to be get.
Okay, so that's one. Here's another one here.
Ghetto Crunch, cornstarch chunks, content only. We got cookies and cream. Let's see what happens. Nice layer.
Those cookies.
Look at that, buddy.
Ooh.
All right.
The way it hit.
Cookies and cream. Oh, yeah. Ooh, you can smell it. I promise, no cap. No cap.
Okay, that's another one here. I have one where the guy actually shows how they made it. Oh, here it is. Here it
Ghetto
is.
Crunch, cornstarch chunks. We have fruit punch here. This is going to be an unwrapping video. Let's go.
This might be it. Here, hold on.
Woo! Fruit punch. Looks amazing.
Maybe not.
Ghetto Crunch, cornstarch chunks.
Okay, that's not it. Okay, but there's a video that I had. I can't find it right now. Uh-oh, let me turn that off before they get me dinged on that. Okay, but there was one. I'll just trust me on this here. They were showing how they made it. You saw the plastic bottle, right? That was full with the what you call it, the cornstarch. What they do is they'll actually fill it with cornstarch and put whatever flavors they want to put in it. They wrap it up. It's in this plastic bottle, right? And then they wrap it up in foil. Then they put it in the oven. So the cornstarch baked in with plastic, and then you got people who are consuming this stuff. Now, cornstarch in of itself is not something that you should be consuming like that. You don't eat cornstarch. Cornstarch is just like an additive, something that you add in certain foods or whatever. But to eat it raw like that, you shouldn't do that, because when you read about what the damage it does to your intestines, it will seriously damage your intestines. Seriously, it damaged your intestines. But again, these are the things, these poor decisions that are being made within this culture that is endangering lives and many people who are watching this stuff and don't even take the time to look things up to see, yeah, I probably shouldn't be consuming that. You know what I mean? And there are reasons why people do that. It's a medical condition on that. And my wife and I, we were going to actually do a health broadcast soon. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that anytime soon right now, but we were going to talk about this in detail and what causes that, what are the drivers on that, and why is it so damaging and all that. So be on the lookout for it. You know, when we get the opportunity, we really want to delve into that, because, you know, you may not be into that, but there are a lot of people who have been engaged in this consumption of cornstarch for a long time. And even though there's some historical precedence to it, it doesn't mean that it's a healthy one. And so we want to make sure that people, you know, you got the information that you need on that. Okay. So anyway, let's move on here and see what else I got going on here. Oh, right here. Oh, Dr. Fauci. That was the next thing here that I want to discuss real quick here. Wow. I mean, right now, there has been a ton of things going on right now with Dr. Fauci being grilled on Capitol Hill, you know, as it relates to his execution of the whole COVID vaccine and all of that. And what we're finding out is a lot of the things that that we and other platforms have been warning people about, even from day one when this thing came out, is coming out that we weren't crazy at all. We knew we're not, because we were getting our information from people, respected people within the medical field themselves. But because these respected, studied people were not going on with the agenda, they were trashed. They were, they were ridiculed. They were isolated, and some people even lost licenses and stuff like that. And but yeah, that was what was going on. And but now all of it's coming to light. Some of the thing is, and I'm gonna play you some videos here. Was the whole thing regarding wearing the mask. The mask in of itself was not something they officially have, it's not really something that helps you to lower your risk with COVID. It doesn't. Because when you're talking about this microscopic size of these viruses or whatever, it just, there's no mask that's going to block it. Okay. But instead, what these masks were doing were contributing to something called hypercapnia. And we talked about that. That's when you are breathing in more of your carbon dioxide than normal. You know what I mean? Now, we are breathing in a certain amount of carbon dioxide, but it's very minimum, right? What we breathe in mostly is oxygen, right? But when you go like this and you are constantly breathing in your own carbon dioxide, after a while, it will have an impact on your blood pressure, your headaches, all kinds of stuff, dizziness, all kinds of stuff. And we warn people about these masks. And now it's coming out that, we didn't really have to do that. The social distancing thing, the same thing. We talked about that. We even talked about what a virus actually was. We had to take those conversations off of YouTube and put them on other platforms, because when we went to have those conversations, well, YouTube wasn't too happy with that, and they ended up blocking a lot of our videos and stuff like that. And and so now all of it's coming out. All of it's starting to come out now. Let me see. Let me go to my social media here and see what I have, some of the videos that I have. Let me play a couple of these videos here. This is Dr. Li Meng Yang, and she is an individual that actually worked on the coronavirus thing. And I want you to take a listen to what she is acknowledging. Let me go ahead and bring that up here on the screen. And let's take a listen to what this doctor is saying.
You're saying what Tulsi Gabbard, hang on. You're saying what Tulsi Gabbard released, right for, hang on for 1 second. I just want to go back in time. You're saying even though the contact came to you in late December, you were convinced pretty quickly that something had happened even earlier. Now you're saying, also saying, hey, this is a bioweapon. There's no doubt that this is a bioweapon. And your belief is that even the excuse that it accidentally leaked out of the Wuhan lab, you're not buying. You're saying that something happened in 2019. Go back to 2019. How early do you think this was released? And do you believe that release was on purpose to basically cause harm, ma'am?
Yes, of course. Let me briefly answer your question, sir. Yes, first, from the beginning, I tell people this was not accident. And I'm the virologist working in the biosafety level 3 lab in the WHO reference lab. I worked on coronavirus after the outbreak. So I can tell you, based on all my understanding and my experience and my knowledge of Chinese Communist Party, this was not accident. You can't say an accident happened and cause people's death in Wuhan and cause the whole world damage, but still the chairman, the dictator Xi Jinping are celebrating the trophy. They're telling you, oh, this is a pandemic, makes the East rises and the West falls. And especially this was designated from the lab, from the military by stealing the technology, taxpayers' money from the United States and leverage the corrupted pro-CCP, pro-communism campaign all over the world and to cause the harm and targeting especially CCP's top enemy, the United States. And actually, we also have evidence later from our top sources in military, in Chinese military, Central Military Committee in Beijing near Xi Jinping. We later also from these different sources to verify the virus was released intentionally in the community back to September 2019. At that time, to conduct a community trial using humans. And you can find that is a military civil fusion exercise conducted in Wuhan International Airport. And the scenario is one person carrying a unknown novel coronavirus disease to China, but later the symptom get controlled, he get treated and things under their control. So that was the exercise several months before the outbreak happened in the international airport in China, in Wuhan, under People's Liberation Army and with Xi Jinping's approval. And also after that, CCP they thought they can control the virus. So that's why they held the military sports meeting at the end of October. And even Xi Jinping came to the opening ceremony. And after that, somehow you see the virus spread in the community. And we need to ask them, what did they do in the military sports meeting? What else they have done since they falsely believed they could control the virus and they could just use it to target their enemies. And of course, we know that even though it got outbreak in China, they still welcome the result because when 23rd January, 3 days after I revealed these secrets through the media, Xi Jinping's regime locked down Wuhan, but let the infected people, innocent people, to carry it all over the world, spread it all over the world. And thank God, President Trump got our information in time, and that's why he fight against the Fauci and all the other experts, as you also told me, and other sources also revealed, sir, that President Trump launched the travel ban against Chinese citizens at the end of January that highly delayed the speed of the pandemic go to the United States.
And the thing is that, again, I know there's a lot of attention on Fauci, but Trump, he's taking full credit of this thing. So Trump doesn't get off the hook on this at all. Let's see here. Let me see what else we have. This is some more clips of Fauci. Let's take a look at some of the, someone kind of put this together here. Let's take a look at this and let's go.
Meta-analysis studies show that, contrary to what we thought, masks really do work in preventing infection.
No doubt.
So no doubt.
So when you find out you were wrong, you don't double down.
People should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. Right now, the message is the vaccines are very effective in preventing serious disease. So the data are very, very clear that A, you need a booster.
The nature of those viruses that were studied were evolutionarily so far distant from what turned out to be SARS-CoV-2 that no matter what you did with those viruses, you would not be able to do that.
Obviously, there are two possibilities that are being entertained, and I think we need to keep a completely open mind until we have definitive proof.
Dr. Fauci, did you delete any emails or records related to the Wuhan lab or the origins of the virus?
No, I did not. I am very happy to testify before any congressional oversight committee. I have nothing to hide. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Oh. And as I said in the post there are multiple black medical organizations that could have led the way like you seeing right now, all these black folks coming out of the woodwork to do this, play Inspector Gadget, to play Batman, to, do all these investigations on Nolan Wells. But yet, these same people, where were they during this vaccine situation? Where were they? And the amount of people that have died as a result of this and have gotten sick. And I know that you got a lot of nurses and medical workers now that are trying to come up on social media now and try to defend. Yeah, we were out here, we were working, and if it wasn't for us, there are more and more people that died. But see, the truth is coming out now, because all you can do is double down. Or you could tell the truth. I mean, you could definitely do that. That would help. But that's where I go. That's why I said when I see, these stories that show like a lot of these black students who they all got their white coats on because they graduated from medical school, and people are saying, "Oh man, it just looks, it's such a powerful message." Look at all these black kids that are students that are going to become our future doctors and all that. See, we're moving forward. But see, what I see is something a little bit different. As I said, I fully acknowledge the amount of work it does take to be a doctor, a medical professional. Is not easy at all. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication to do it. So that part, it deserves to be applauded, praised, rewarded, and all of that. I don't have any issues with that. But the truth is that many of these individuals will be hired in an industry that, once again, will tell them exactly, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. You are not to get off the script. Just have a close family member very recently went to the doctors. They told them one thing, and then they followed what the doctor told them. Then we find out later on, oh, it wasn't that. It was actually something else. It was just a wild guess. Everybody taking wild guesses here. Meanwhile, they're getting tens of thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money for them to take a guess. That's why they call it a practice, because they get to practice on you. And this is why we're strong advocates on getting people like yourself to take control of your own health and wellness. We're not saying that the whole medical industry is garbage or trash or anything like that, but we are saying is that you as an individual, you have the power and you have the right to prioritize, to be your own primary physician, right? And then any other physician after that, they can be secondary, but you could be the primary physician. And that's what we're about here. All right, let's move on here. Let's see. So we talked about the COVID stuff, and I'll be dropping some more things on that soon. Let's see, where is my other stuff here? Very recently, well, as you know, there has been a lot of mess going on regarding the Nolan Wells story. A lot of people are telling a bunch of lies. And as I've said, I haven't really delved into the story as deeply as a lot of other people are, simply because I don't have all the facts and I'm waiting for them to release the results and all of that. That's what responsible people do. One of the lies that was coming out, yet another situation, was this. People were going around and literally saying that Nolan Wells was a direct descendant of Ida B. Wells. They literally were going around and saying this. Well, it came out that, and thanks to the descendant, the great granddaughter of Ida B. Wells, Michelle Duster, she basically said in a very nice way, hell no, they ain't family. But it doesn't matter because it's already going out. The horses have already left the barn. And remember, like I said, this is a culture that does not value the truth. It doesn't. We talk about it. It's talked about a lot, but people don't really value the truth. So they'll make up their own stuff. Well, here's another story too. This is a woman who, Sarah Fields, she has been on the case. She was on the case regarding the Carmelo Anthony situation and was getting attacked on social media and all of that just for the stuff that she was revealing about it. And mainly because she's white too, so it makes her even more of a target. And so she's been on this particular case here as well. Well, if you haven't been following, I know I've been following, some of this stuff. A lot of those people now that have been threatening the local judges and stuff like that, well, that's a federal offense. And people now are starting to get that paperwork and are getting arrested on a federal level. You cannot do that. And people have been putting out many lies about this case. And this is why I said they don't give a damn about Nolan Wells. They don't give a damn about any other young black man who dies in most cases. They don't. Most of these people out here that are screaming and yelling for justice, they don't care about these guys. They don't care about them. They don't. It's entertainment. It's just another form of entertainment. And what's entertaining about it is that there are white people that you think are involved, but truth is more and more is coming out. Well, anyway, those families of those boys that are being accused of, you guys murdered him, well, they're starting to turn the page right now and starting to sue these individuals that have been putting a lot of lies out. Now, you remember I told you, and I've said this in other broadcasts, and I'll continue to say this because, like I said, on this platform, we're going to take our time and really study and understand certain things, especially when it comes to social media. And I told you, we looked at the data. The two most influential groups on social media are black women, particularly black feminists or liberal women, and gay black men. These are the two most influential groups on social media. Okay. And last time when we were together, I talked about there was a couple, a lesbian couple that has been leaking out or putting out information regarding some audio that was supposedly analyzed by this black lesbian woman who has a background in, audio, whatever. And she basically been putting this stuff out and saying that this is the real audio. And it is going super viral to the point where even Crump, the attorney for the family, has even referenced it as if it's some kind of factual piece of information. Well, I want you to take a listen to this woman's video. I was thinking about playing parts of it. I'm just going to let her speak. And I want you to listen to what she's saying because she's laying out some facts here. And I hope you listen. And because what she's putting out here is, if you're someone that's interested in the truth, you will listen, and take a listen to this. And she does a full breakdown of these individuals that are out here who are lying. Take a listen.
Oh, now we're trying to walk it back.
I actually started realizing, I think this is exactly what I heard. That's what made me want to put it out to just make sure I'm not tripping. Y'all be the judge. This is what I heard, but don't take what I'm saying as facts. I want y'all to listen too and see, let's converse about it. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what y'all think y'all are hearing.
What's to trust that you know exactly what you're doing? How can we trust you with this audio enhancement?
It's what I do for a living. It's literally my profession. I have a bachelor's in music production and a master's in entertainment business. But with that bachelor's in music production from Full Sail, they also taught, audio engineering and things like that.
Alrighty, let's talk about it. This woman had the audacity to go on this man's show and try to say that she was not spreading a narrative. And she was just trying to make sure that you all made up your own minds about what she knew she was hearing. An audio that she edited added an extra 20 seconds to the C-TOW call connected to the Norm Wells case. She also tried to say that she was qualified.
Did you know that, you guys? The audio that she uploaded was actually 20, what she said, 20 seconds or 20 minutes. It was actually longer. Let me go back.
C-TOW call connected to the Norm Wells case. An extra 20 seconds to the
Extra 20 seconds was added. Did you know that? Or did you just hit repost?
C-TOW call connected to the Norm Wells case. She also tried to say that she was qualified because of her experience and knowledge and education in music production. And she tried to say that with her bachelor in music production, she had education in audio engineering. Let me explain why this is not accurate. You are not qualified, and you did try to push a narrative. And I will never stop calling you out. First, let me explain a little bit about me, because this woman has attacked me and tried to push a narrative about me that is a bold-faced lie. A very long time ago, because a man was harming...
Let me skip this part here a little bit. You can listen to that.
...that I harmed my children, that I'm a I passed. Should saying that I am still married to this man, even though I'm the one who put him in prison.
Basically, they were attacking this woman here, and they were trying to dig up some personal stuff. But even the stuff they were digging up, it was false information, and nobody wanted to even bother to go and check and see if any of it was accurate.
In our own lives, and we help people now. I also have small children. It's the study of aging from beginning to end, and I have a master's degree in psychology with specialty in health and wellness. I'm a skilled researcher, and journalism is quite literally my job. So I actually kind of find it comical sometimes that when I report accurately and I report the truth, and the only thing you have in response to that is a complete made-up fabricated lie about my past, it means I'm winning. And dragging my child all over the internet also proves to me that you don't care about victims. You do not care about people who have been harmed. You don't care about my family's or my daughter's past trauma or our healing. Instead, you want to spread a lie and drag her all over the internet. So moving on, let me explain to you why this woman is not only a disgusting, nasty person for lying about me and my children, she is also not qualified to do what she did, and she absolutely had ill intentions in what she did. If your goal was to allow people to make up their own minds, you would have uploaded the original recording and let people listen to it.
There you go.
But that's not what you did. Instead, you edited audio from an active criminal investigation.
Listen.
And then you created a script telling people exactly what you wanted them to hear. FYI, this is called priming. And I learned about it.
She's 1,000% correct. That's what it's called. It's called priming. Let's say, for example, if I had a jumbled up audio and I uploaded it and I was and I played it for you guys, and I was like, see, you can hear what they're saying. They're saying this, they're saying that, they're saying that. No, that's priming you. I'm leading you. People do this literally all the time. Preachers do this all the time. They'll take something very complex and they'll say, see, this is what this means. You remember there was a certain preacher here online that saw some scribbling in a certain building, and based on his interpretation, he says, see, this is what this means. That's priming the viewer, the listener. You don't do that. You show the evidence and let them decide. That's it. You don't sit up there and give your interpretation and then after they spend all this time giving your interpretation, and you say, well, I'm just going to let you decide. You've already decided for them. Anyway, let's continue.
In psychology, audio priming. It includes things like, can we cover it up? And he's already dead. And oh my God, Nolan, wake up. Hello? This is not letting people decide for themselves. This is called creating a narrative. Then you tried to justify it by saying you have a bachelor degree in music production and training in audio engineering. So let's talk about why that is misleading. A standard bachelor degree in audio engineering, in music production, does not teach you how to isolate audio for a criminal investigation. They are two completely different classes and disciplines.
Absolutely.
Music production is about making audio sounds better. By the way, I am a worship leader in my church. I know a little bit about music. It is about creative editing. It is about mixing, mastering, noise reduction. It is about producing content that is aesthetically pleasing.
Listen.
Forensic audio is about preserving evidence. The goal is not to make something sound better. It is about preserving the integrity of the audio. To use methodologies that can maintain and keep courtroom integrity for a criminal investigation. They are not the same thing. Music producers routinely alter audio. Criminal forensic audio professionals have to be able to explain every single detail of every single change they make. Why? Because they are dealing with evidence that can affect someone's freedom and their life. That's why it requires specialized training, specialized software, and additional certifications specifically meant for forensic analysis, not a degree in music production. Lastly, I want to bring this up. If you truly believed that...
I think that was it. That was the main things I wanted to share with you on that. But she pretty much hit all the basics on there. Again, black folks heard that, oh, you know, I have a degree from Full Sails and audio engineering and all this other stuff or whatever. And I'm sitting up here listening and I was like, yeah, but you can edit. You can literally edit. You can edit, you can add stuff, but not only that, the fact that you provide an outline and words, you can't tell somebody on one hand that, oh, that was the point that she was going to make, but I'll get to this in a moment. But you can't provide someone, what you're saying is raw audio that's kind of garbled up and then put the words you think that are being said. You can't do that because you're leading, you're priming them, right? That was the other. And then what she was going to say was this, which is a good point. You know what? I think I'll let her say it.
That you had discovered something nefarious. Why didn't you immediately take it to law enforcement?
That's right.
Investigators have literally asked the public to bring forward any legitimate evidence. Instead, you uploaded an edited version and then claimed that is what they were saying in that script. You put it on social media, you allowed it to go viral, and you knew that it was going to target innocent young men. This is not how evidence is handled. And you knew that.
Right. So again, they have been, you know, so on one hand, you got social media out here, oh, Mississippi this, and they, you know, they're racist and they're not trying to get to the bottom of it. They're taking too long. They're dragging the case. They're hiding evidence or whatever. Okay, well, here you claim to have evidence that can enlighten the investigators and all that. Instead of you going and taking that evidence directly to the investigators, you put it on social media so that you can get likes and shares and get paid off of that instead of taking it to the investigators. That shows you right there you're not serious. If you got raw evidence about a crime that you said that you're very concerned about, then why the hell did you not take that directly to them, the investigators? Because they're out here pleading and asking. Even Crump is saying, hey, if you got anything, please share it. Put it out, you know, share it with our office because we're trying to investigate or whatever. But instead, you take that information and post it on your social media so that you can get the shares, you can get the likes, you can get the traffic. And you could put that all out there. And the sad thing is, unfortunately, people have been buying into this stuff, all the many, many lies. That's why it's going to be very interesting, the amount of liars that are going to be exposed at the end of all this. It's going to be a spectacular thing to watch. But what's going to even be more spectacular is to see how many people are going to do the collective Homer Simpson moonwalk into the bushes and act as if nothing happened. That's the sad thing about it. And like I said, and the ultimate sad thing, what's really sad about it is that people don't really give a damn about him, this young man who died. They don't care. They care about the narrative. And that is how we started this conversation this evening, that it's an American narrative. It is to get you hooked on a specific narrative and to stay on that. Meanwhile, there is destruction literally all around you and you're not focused. And that's the whole point, is to keep you off focus. All these different things that are happening right now, that are going on right now, right in your own backyard, in your own neighborhood. We still haven't talked about this whole thing about the flock camera thing, you know, and I got some opinion on that. And where I live, there's flock cameras literally all over the place. All over the place, I see them. But here's the thing. Flock cameras, yes, they are collecting a lot of data from the public and all that, and it's crazy, weird, and don't like it at all. But there are many people who have doorbells with cameras on them. And if you think that the camera only comes on when you want it, no. It's always collecting data and it's sending it to these data centers. There are many people that are walking around right now with the e-watches, right? That's collecting all your data, telling who knows where out there, where you walk, how your sleeping patterns. It's recording everything, all that data on you. It is sucking it all up, and it's taking it and sending it where? To the data centers. Then you got your phone, obviously, that's collecting all kinds of data on you, your conversation, your text messages, and all of that. Where's it going? To the data centers. Then you got your smart TVs that knows everything that you watch, your preferences and everything. And where's that data going? To the data centers. Then you got if you out here, I'm sorry, I don't understand why you would do it, but you know, Amazon and then Google has those devices where you can say, hey, whatever the name is, can you put on my music playlist, this, that, or whatever? Hey, can you check what the weather is going to be like tomorrow? And you got a constant listening device in your home that's collecting all these private conversations that you have in your house. And where's all that data going? It's going to the data centers. Then you got people with these electronic vehicles, cars. It's recording literally everything you do and the conversations you have in the car. Where's that data going? To the data centers. So I'm supposed to sit up here and be all worried and worked up about flock cameras? That's just another piece. I'm not saying that, just the heck, you know, like I'm just not, that I'm not concerned. Obviously, clearly I'm concerned about it. It's a crazy world. I mean, you got all this stuff. But again, don't just focus on that. Wake up. You're in it. You're in a world that's collecting all your data. The question is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to take some steps to limit that? Are you going to be a little bit smarter in what you share on social media? Well, that will be a good start. But remember, I'll just leave you with this. Culture starts at home. And your culture can be a very smart culture, or it can be a very dumb culture. That choice is really up to you at the end of the day. That's your choice. It's not the choice of a system. It's not the choice of a company or a group of scientists or whatever. That choice is yours. Culture, community, it starts with you in your own house. Well, anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast. I hope you guys got something out of it. And like I said, again, it's probably going to might be a little bit quiet in these parts for a little bit. We'll see. I'll let you know. But anyway, thank you so much for checking us out. Remember, make sure you check us out over on sambatree.com. We'll be active over there for sure. Got some things lined up, so we'll let you know and keep you in the loop. So make sure you check our Samba Tree YouTube page and our Samba Tree homepage. We'll be updating you on some new things that hopefully we got coming up really, really soon. So make sure you guys take care of yourself. Most importantly, care for you and very, very much care for you enough to provide you with facts and with the truth. You guys take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be talking again soon. Take care and have a great rest of your day, evening, whenever it is that you're watching.